Hello there. Well, just on the off chance a rainbow or two might float by, I've got it on the wider screen and just the natural lighting. So here's a journal from September 10th of this year. First of that day, the Mayan day, was 3 deer, or healing hand. It's called Recognizing Hidden Strategies of Manipulation while Staying in Heart. As a Mayan day 3 on the Tzolkin calendar, and I'm not sure I'm using that word right, so I'll just say on the Mayan calendar, this will be, the 3 is a day of flow, just as yesterday, the day of 2, is a day of choice, of the appearance of a this and a that. Today, these will flow in the union, the sacred unity of the triangle, which in itself is truly a sacred geometric formation. Take it to 3D and you have the tetrahedron, same. It needs no religious doctrine or dogma to give it that. It is inherent simply in the form. We have so much to learn about that, about form and symbol and what that is saying. But anyway, what is here to be offered today? I don't know, though I do have some things that are clear or close anyway to my heart from this morning's prayers. May I be the empty cup so that the greatest light may flow through to you. Enter within to your heart, center self there. We talk about deceivers and deceptions, about manipulation and control of the populace quite a lot. I know I do. A great deal of this is apparent, but wait. We think it's a great deal of it that we are seeing, discovering, but it's not. It's only the barest bit. We've uncovered the huge bulk of the way and ways we're manipulated is still quite hidden from view. Now, a good part of this is because we refuse to see. We've gotten so used to being afraid, so we pull into the self, batten down the hatches, pull in like a turtle, so to speak. When things seem overwhelming sometimes, and often, the strategy becomes not to know. No, don't look. Look over there, look anywhere. Be distracted. Rather than facing that, this comes from feeling helpless, doesn't it? That's what overwhelm is about, the feeling of helplessness. Well, first off, let's not avoid or run from that feeling. Let's let it in. Whatever feelings arise for us, these are sacred. No matter the discomfort they may bring, they are gifts. Do I need to explain this? Maybe so, maybe not. It depends on this. Are you in heart? The whole world and everything in it look quite different from there. Mankind was once fully integrated and in touch with their soul, with their essence. But then came the fear. In response to so much manipulation and control, we retreated, went into mind. Things were, or they seemed to be, easier there. From being in mind, we don't feel quite so much. That is cut off. Well, quite a bit, not entirely. So the controlling forces got what they wanted with that migration from soul, from heart into mind. Remember, mind is their chosen territory. They are the masters there over us in our stripped down DNA state with only the double helix. And parenthetically, I say, I don't know, were we 12-stranded again, if we would then be on equal ground with them. I just don't know. So to continue, Well, this is still parenthetic. It says, remember, we've forgotten our identity and abilities, both. Now to continue. Because the phenomenal nature of the ET technology has remained so much under wraps, we've been led to believe that our controllers are not as brilliant as they really are. Part of the brilliant strategy in hiding the super advanced ET technology from the masses of man is to keep us deceived. They don't want to show their hand and so have kept us underestimating the extent of their power, their mental abilities, their far reach. Dumbed down and afraid as we were, herded into the left brain, not the heart, not the soul, we made easy pickings. The strategy is to stay largely hidden. Yet the control mechanisms are truly vast. Then, whenever someone starts poking around and discovers a few things, then comes the derision, the accusation, conspiracy theorist. Like David Icke says, they don't even need sheepdogs to herd us, keep us in line. We do it ourselves to one another. In this case, in a most derisive way. Rather than listen, inquire, we just condemn. This too is part of the strategy, the plan. Remember Sun Tzu. Go listen to that The Art of War documentary. You'll tune in better to the wisdom of their ways. They're not stupid. They play us against each other in endless ways. And I'm not saying, I'm going to step out here, I don't mean to imply that the Chinese are doing this. Sun Tzu was Chinese. I'm just saying that he's got the wisdom that is being used by the forces that are controlling us. When people are and have been in their minds for so long, identified there, thinking that is self, it's quite a shock to them to discover that their chosen view of reality, their beliefs about it, are so terribly off. As long as we remain locked in the mind, we will be subject to this shock, this stun effect. I am familiar with it. Its basis is fear. Now, as usual, I will say to welcome that. Don't run from it. Let it in. Sit down to tea with that fear. See what it says. The explored and invited monster is far less fearful than the one that's not known. And this too is emotion. It is sacred. Let it in. No need to do anything, to change anything, to say anything, to agree to anything. Just observe. That is quite literally all. Just sit there and watch. This will help keep you in heart. The other option, to run from the fear, leads back into mind. It is in mind that we've created the structures we use for defense and avoidance. All that is mind. Well, since mind is clearly a part of the problem or the issue here, let's leave it alone. Just watch those feelings from heart. That's enough. That means quite literally to ignore whatever the mind says. It will come up with endless ideas, strategies, explanations of even the wildest kind, if it thinks it can get your attention that way. Like a spoiled child, until the mind is tamed, it will literally say and do anything. Ignoring works on the child as well. Just ignore. No attention. Staying in heart. Don't try to shut mind down. That is a mistake. Can't be done anyway, I don't think. It will hush when it's time for that. Meanwhile, just look away. Okay, how are we doing here? Are you with me pretty much? In your heart, there will be a tendency to go into fear as we explore many of the subjects that are upcoming. Right now, we are laying the groundwork to prepare you to stay heart-centered. And this is enough, just to remain within heart. You don't have to solve the problems of the world, or even your own. Just stay heart-centered as you go forward. Only that. Pretty easy overall. When it gets challenging, though, well, it just helps to have a strategy and some tactics to support it. Later on, you won't need them, but they'll help for a while. You'll know when they just aren't necessary anymore. Meanwhile, stay humble. Stay heart-centered. Stay alert. Whenever fear crops up, and it will in various disguises, anxiety or nervousness, grouchiness, whatever, just watch. Don't run away to rationalize or to try to explain or to understand. None of that. Simply observe. Watch yourself misbehave. It's not the end of the world. Just watch. What can you learn? Why? It keeps you in heart. That's enough explanation. And it's all you're going to get. No more is needed. When we get off into explanations and reasons and things, we're entering mind. So don't look for an explanation, an understanding, the origin of the feeling for anything. Just simply be with it. This is best. Now, most of these journals written so far won't challenge you so much. Though we are entering heart, learning more and more to do that with each one, we haven't yet gone very deep into what? Well, into the levels of manipulation we're under. We've just been looking at any number of them, more theoretically than practically up to now. I sense, though, that things are changing again with the journals. They may get much more nitty-gritty now, nuts and bolts. It looks like what has been done so far is largely by way of preparation, an introductory course for what's next. Now, I'm just guessing here. Well, maybe a bit more than that, but I really don't know for sure. I could just be making a big fool of myself here, depending on what comes going forward. Well, I'm willing to do that. I follow where heart leads, just trusting the flow. And that's interesting. My typo for trusting is tristing. Trist, T-R-Y-S-T. So, if ever any of the journals get too intense for you, bring up too much stuff, as light will do, just go to the earlier journals and immerse yourself there. There is a light flow here. I'm aware of that. Take full benefit. That's what it's there for, purely for you. There's really no time, not the way we see it, my friends. All is just now. That being the case, those other journals will be as alive for you in any now as they were the first time. Their aliveness will be different, but it will still be there. It always is. It's our own consciousness that gets stale. By thinking we know what time is and how it works, we convince ourselves of all sorts of false things. Why and how? Because the foundation is all wrong. Time simply isn't like that. But if you think it is, then you accept the limits built into that, to that belief. Do you see? If so, then set yourself free. Do the mantra for mind regularly, your own version of it. If you don't know what that is, click the link here over to Scribe to the transcript. Okay then, I'll close with this. I don't care to interrupt the flow of speaking when I'm recording these to mention each link, besides which many of the links are added later when I'm editing. the flow continues through that as well. Remember, time is always right now. Nothing is old, nothing gets stale. All is fresh. Any other perception, that is in you, in us. So, what I will begin to do is to place a little phrase in the description field, both with the video and with the scribed transcript, alerting you to the fact that there are links in the transcript. These can be most helpful to those who want to go deeper with things. There are some journals where links are inappropriate, where the subject matter and the experience we're having in the journal is just too deep to put anything in that could be distracting, could take us back into the mind. And that's the thing to be alert for, the tendency to slip back into mind. It is practically continual at first when practicing staying in heart, but don't let that distress you at all. Refuse that distress, for that is also the mind. Just persist, that's all it takes. Be watchful and persistent. You really can't lose that way. See you there.